en el espejo, muévete en el espejo, enamórate del... The first person from Richmond to be here. So that's really special. Our set is in Richmond, Hilltop.
Sure.
So the first Richmond native here today.
Thankful and grateful. Happy to be here.
So let's talk about what you do, who you are. And I do have like so many questions for you because I feel like you've evolved so much, even since I met you a year and a half ago.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know, I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I make music, I write, I compose, I engineer, produce, direct. I do all the things. What pays the bills is music. I've been making music for a long time, but I've been making money making music for like the last like 10 years. And it's been an experience. It's what's been really cool about it is I'm learning that there are different avenues that you can go about it to leave an impact. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be super mainstream to keep your pockets laced, and you don't have to be super mainstream to make a difference. And I think that that's the most important thing that I want people to realize. Like, everybody thinks they got to be Drake. Everybody thinks they have to be Kendrick or like this massive artist, and that's not the case at all. Like, you can really just find the lane and make a way that way. And that's what I've been doing, and it's been a really rewarding experience. So
tell me about that. Like, when did you start making music?
Man, I started making music when I was 9 years old, and I made my first record when I was 20, yeah, right, when I was 12. I was 12 years old and I made my first song, and I've been making music ever since then. And it's for me, it was just a creative escape. I'm guilty of escapism. Like, anything I can do to like escape reality, I'm down for it. So like, I played a lot of video games and I made a lot of music growing up. And so making music was like just another escape for me. Went to school, played sports, and did all the things, but in my downtime, constantly making tunes, constantly making music. It was cool.
Did you always know you're an artist, like even when you're younger than 8?
Yeah. Well, I come from like an artistic household. My dad is a visual artist. He can paint and draw really well, and my mom sang and played instruments growing up. Mm-hmm. So I come from two artists. I can't draw, but I can make music, and so I knew that. Well, I won't say that I knew, but I always hoped that my career would be in the field of arts, just because I'm so passionate about creating. Like, I create every day. Even if it's not a song, I'm creating something, an idea. I'm starting to branch into writing TV and film. Been producing for a long time, like always creating. Like, for me, it's always about exercising that muscle, that creative muscle.
So when you say you've been making music, you've been making money for music for the last 10 years. Yeah. What are some of those lanes that you traveled? And I feel like people are really curious about that. I talk about that all the time. Yeah. I work like kind of in the tech space, physically in the space, in the financial district. Right. And I see people making money from tech and they're not in tech. Yeah. They like run the restaurant next to Salesforce. So all their money is tech money, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like adjacent, but you're actually an artist. Yeah. Tell me about those lanes and how you make money from music.
Sure.
And how you came about that.
Sure. So what I realized is that there are multiple roles, not only in music, but in also being an artist. When I was coming up, when I first started making music for real, I was paying for studio time. And I realized that it's a better investment to get my own studio equipment than to keep going to the studio, paying this, paying that, paying this, paying that. And what I realized is if I can keep my cost low, then all of a sudden my return becomes that much more significant. Mm-hmm. So like at a young age, I realized that if I just record, mix, and master in-house, I'm keeping my costs low, and everything that I produce has a turn a profit. Mm-hmm. And so like one of my favorite stories to tell is I was 25, and I made a song in my bedroom. It took me probably like 20 minutes, and one of the creative directors for NBA 2K17 heard it. Asked if they could license it for the game. I said, yeah. They sent me $20,000 for a song that I made in 15 minutes, technically for free. It was my equipment, and I just did it all in-house. But at a young age, I realized that if this is something that I want to do, let's do it to a capacity that I can afford, because at the time I was a full-time student and I was playing football, so I didn't have time for a job. But what I was able to do was buy my own studio equipment. When I wasn't using it, I was able to loan it out or charge people for studio time, record my own stuff. And in a way, I was generating income and creating music at the same time. I licensed my first record when I was 22. I was going to Sac State. I licensed my first 3 records at one time. And that was when I realized that, oh, okay, so you can make money without having a song go be on the radio or having a famous artist jump on it. Like, you can just find places where you can sell your music. And so I learned that in creating all the music that I create, I send to a music director. His name is Dave Jordan. Shout out Dave. I send him music all the time. And all he does is listen to it and go, yeah, we can use this, or no, we can't use that. And he just finds places for my music to go. And that's a lane that people overlook all the time. And I could be projecting just a little bit, but I think it's because people are obsessed with the spotlight rather than being successful. Like, I've sold a lot of music to a lot of different movies, video games, TV shows, commercials, all the stuff. And that has allowed me to do what I do now. And I'm able to kind of walk around and be kind of incognito, because not everybody is hip to what it is that I do.
Right.
But those are the avenues that you can make money. Like, I do everything music related. So I engineer. I'm a full-time engineer. When I'm not writing my own raps and making my own beats, I'm engineering other artists. I write for other artists. I compose. Like, everything has a way in, you know. Like, I'm friends with a lot of rappers, and all they do is rap. And it's really hard to make money if all you do is rap. Like, I'm just being completely upfront with you. Like, that's why rappers act. That's why rappers model. That's why rappers direct videos, because you gotta be able to do a bunch of different things, especially to separate yourself from everyone else. And so that's something I tell people all the time. I didn't want to make the answer so long, but I tell people all the time, like, if you want to rap, that's great, but learn how to do other things too. Because I'm not going to rap for the rest of my life, but I will make beats for the rest of my life, and I will engineer for the rest of my life. So that's why acquiring those skills has been so beneficial. And yeah, I try to tell people that as much as I can, because that's how I got in. Like, I didn't get in because I rapped really well or did things really well. I got in because I found a lane and was like, oh, okay, I can exploit this. I can make music in my sleep. And if you guys need this type of music for that type of production, no problem.
Right.
And so that's the lane that I'm in, and it's been really great for me. And I've been enjoying being able to teach people about it, because a lot of people don't know. Like, people are still stuck in the idea of, oh, if I'm gonna be a rapper, I gotta go viral, or I gotta get this song on the radio, or I gotta get the big feature. And it's like, nah, bro, you can really nickel and dime these companies, bro. 5 racks here, 10 racks here, 15 there, 20 there, and just keep doing that. And that's how you piece up. Like, and you don't have to go viral. You don't have to go on tour. You don't have to sell merch. You can just learn how to navigate the system.
That's a crazy hustle, man. That's a huge scale hustle. And that's
so what I've learned is I'm not the best businessman, but my brothers are, and they're my managers, and they're the ones who taught me how to do it. I got the hustle bone, but I don't have the business bone. I'm a creative, but I don't know how to market what I create.
I was just going to ask you about that, because that sounds like a huge business like model, and understanding the laws and the clauses in those contracts and everything. So you kind of answered that question I had for you, is how do you navigate the business aspect, and how do you differentiate your businessman mode to your artist mode? Because it sounds like you're full-time artist mode, but then you're also full-time business mode. Because that's where it intertwines, right?
I will say more advice that I would give to any artist, young and old, is have a team or a support team or a support system that loves you and wants to see you succeed. My job is to wake up and be creative. My brothers are the ones who are the business guys. My brothers are the ones who are like, this will be a good business decision. Working with this artist would be a better choice than working with that artist. Using this distributor would be a better decision than using that distributor. Little things like that have a humongous impact in the long run.
Being open to learn, right?
Absolutely.
And be teachable. Because what you're saying too is like being in the limelight. I feel like people don't understand that in order to be so super famous, you have to give up a lot of autonomy to be in that position.
Absolutely.
It's always going to be what you want, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that you're like, my job is to make the music.
Yeah, and but I'm able to do that because I have a great supporting cast. Like it's my brothers, Ryan, Keenan, and D-Lo. They all jump through hoops to make my life easy, They're filling the emails, they're booking the directors, they're doing all of the business things that I don't have the skill for. And that allows me to just wake up and create.
You need to get on ChatGPT.
Yeah, I need to do something. But like, that's, you know, I always tell people, like, start there. Like, get a clear idea of what it is you want to accomplish, and then surround yourself with people who can help you get that goal. Like, I always tell people, like, I always wanted to be a rapper, but I didn't know what it looked like exactly. Like, when you think of a rapper, you think, oh, a mansion, oh, a pool in the backyard, strip club, blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, but I'm a rapper too, and I don't have a mansion, but I got a home in Richmond. I got a couple cars. I got a niece and nephew, so I take care of them. You know what I mean? I'm able to support myself and help my family when they need it. And I'm a rapper still. You know what I mean? And that's what I had to kind of wrap my head around. You know, just because it doesn't look like what you think it would look like, it still is. And that's what I'm super thankful for. But it's because I've learned that there's so much money to be made outside of what we see. Like, people think rapper, they think, you know, Drake, Kendrick, Nicki Minaj, they think these massive powerhouse artists, and it's like, nah, like, it's a lot of us that are independent and a lot of us that are under the radar that continue to thrive. You know, if you're an independent artist, if you get 500 true fans, 500 tickets gonna sell out, 500 copies of your album gonna sell, 500 pieces of your merch gonna sell. And if you go on tour, oh man, you just gonna do nothing but start gaining fans and gaining traction. It starts small, but if you can get a core group of fans, you can eat for the rest of your life.
So how would you say that you have acquired and sustained your core group of fans?
Oh man, it's all about opportunity. So the record I was just referring to that I made when I was like 25, like, Bands is a record that I made that was on NBA 2K. And since then, that's when I gathered my core fan group. That's when I gathered people who were like, hey, I'm invested, because they heard this brand new artist on this game that they know and love, and decided to follow him, decided to heart his music, decided to share the links. And they've been on the ride with me for the last, 6 years, 7 years?
I bet, because y'all be on the game like it's like there's no tomorrow. So if they're hearing you every time they're on the game,
exactly,
you're like their best friend. Yeah,
and that's where like the majority of my fans come from. And what's cool is I've kind of had the opportunity to grow with them. And I recently just got to perform in Atlanta. And right before I performed Bands, I say, if you've played 2K, you've heard the song before, and it comes on, and people are like, oh shit, yeah, I have heard this fucking song. Or can we cuss on this song?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Like, they're like, oh shit, yeah, we have heard this song. And that's building that core fan base. You know, we sold out my first like batch of merch that I ever did. I sold out completely, and I bought hella pieces. And I underestimated just how impactful it would be. But like, that's your core group are going to be the ones that support you. Those are going to be the ones that keep you fed. Those are going to be the ones that stream the music. And so how you build a core fan base is by doing the dirty work. You got to hit the streets. You got to perform. I've performed at festivals, and I've performed at bars with 3 people in the crowd. You got to be willing to do it all. And that's how you gain fans, you know, and then collab with people. Welcome people into your network that you know they got a good work ethic, our goals align. It would be a good opportunity to integrate our circles. You know, like, that's a great way to expand the fan base. I got 2 features on my next album that I'm super excited about, and one of them is a rap legend, and the other is a new wave rapper who has an old school approach. And I can't wait for their respective fan bases to hear the music, because that's going to introduce me to their fan base. And that's how you get that circle to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's a little bit of luck, it's a little bit of preparation, but it's also business. And I'm learning it as I go. I've read a lot of books, read a lot of articles, spent a lot of time researching how to connect with fans and how to expand the network. I think people underestimate the importance of connecting with your fans, conversing with them online, having a personal relationship with them when they buy merch from you. When we had the listening party, it was great because I got to interact with every person that bought a piece of merch. And that's how you establish a relationship. Those things are important, you know. when a consumer feels like they connect to the person that they're buying art from, you connected for life.
For sure. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I was just gonna ask you, how do you connect with your fans? But having that personal relationship.
That's it.
And knowing that you handed them the merch or that your face is on the merch.
That's it. And
right.
And what I've realized is there's also value in having personal events, having events where people can come, congregate, and be social and interact with you. Like, something that I've always wanted to maintain was, even though I'm a rapper and like, the ego and the bravado of hip hop make you want to feel like you're better than everyone else, but in all actuality, we're all the same. And I'm thankful that people are coming here to share this moment with me, share this space.
And there might be people smarter than you that can help you out.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. I'll always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you gotta get out of there.
You're not wrong.
You gotta get out of there. You gotta go somewhere where they're gonna challenge you. You gotta go somewhere where you're gonna learn something, But yeah, I'm big on connecting. I'm big on connecting with the fans. I'm big on connecting with the community, because that's who supports you. And without them, without consumers, people always forget that. Without listeners, without consumers, artists, you're just creating to create. You know what I mean? Which for some is enough, but if you want to support your family, if you want to keep them bills paid, you need people to consume and support. So,
Amen. I do have some questions about your music and your branding, because I feel like you have really good branding.
Sure, hell yeah.
So the earliest music I found was from 2018. That's on Spotify, right?
Yeah.
And something that comes up a lot in your music is like the bake off, the bake sale. Yeah. So I want to hear the story about this baking. Like, do you bake? Are you baked right now?
So the theme is just so I try to always put out some type of content on 420, be it videos, an EP, an album, whatever, right? And what I realized is we needed something kind of like fun to go with the theme. And I mean, it was two things: who doesn't like a baked goodie, and who doesn't want to get baked? And so we took that idea and the branding and just kind of put it in motion. Made some shirts, made a couple EPs, kind of celebrating the theme and the branding and everything, and it's fun. And I think that's what people forget. Like, at the end of the day, you gotta do stuff. You gotta make it fun. Like writing a song and putting your emotions onto a record that's heavy. That's a heavy lift for some people.
Right.
Make it fun. If you can do certain things within your brand and within your comfortability to make it kind of loosen you up a little bit, why not? Something that I always say is, like, I rap and I have songs that touch on serious topics, but I also have songs that show you how fun I am. You know me personally.
Yeah,
like,
no.
I'm a fun dude. Like,
you're a fun dude.
like I'm, so I think it's good if you're able to, show that through the art.
And it's entertaining.
Exactly. Like,
it's
that's
really
what
entertaining.
One of my favorite rappers, man, I love getting to talk about my people who inspire me. One of my favorite rappers is Action Bronson. And one of the reasons I like him so much is because in his raps, he says things that are just ridiculous and completely untrue. Like, one of his bars is, he's kind of hefty, right? He's like, one of his bars is, I somersaulted off the high dive and didn't even splash. And it's like, that's impossible, but it's visual. It's imaginative, it's creative, and it's entertainment. And it makes me, I hear the raps and I visualize it, and I feel like people forget that, like, this shit is entertainment. Why do we love Beyonce so much? Because she puts on a hell of a show. Why do we, like, one of my favorite artists that I ever saw live was Kid Cudi. He came out in a moon suit, and he's jumping around on stage in the moon suit, and it's lighting up, and it's going with the beat, and there's smoke everywhere. And I realized that not only am I enjoying this music, but it's a presentation. It's entertainment.
You're going to remember it forever.
Forever. It's engaging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of artists these days kind of lack that. They're talented and they make great music, but you gotta put on a show for us
and be confident in what you're in your gimmick, right? At the end of the day, it is a gimmick, but you have to like stick to the bit and be confident.
Stick to it.
And have a lot of fun when it and perfect it to what it is. So when I think of you, I do think of baked goods.
Good, that's perfect.
And I think of being baked because I remember the bake sale and I remember the bake off. So perfect. I wanted to ask you about your name change and your brand, because I feel like your brand is really consistent throughout. And I feel like that's why you were able to change your name, which is like such a significant part of the brand. And the brand remained consistent. And there wasn't really like jarring to see the name change. Word. So tell me about your name change and why you decided to change your name.
Hell yeah. So my old rap name was Ogdayv, and for obvious reasons, I'm not white, obviously, but
you're not white?
I'm not, believe it or not, not even half.
I thought you were. You had me fooled.
And so, you know, I got that rap name in college, and it was a playful jab at how unserious I could be, but also when I was young, people used to roast me all the time and say I talk white, which maybe they're right, maybe they're not, but we decided to take that joke and like turn it into something profitable, like something, you know, valuable. But I went by that moniker for like over 10 years, and I last year, because it's been a year now, last year, right before I was getting ready to release a new batch of music, I chopped it up with the team, and we was like, man, like, let's look at a rebrand. Not because we have to, but because I think that moving forward, I'll be happy I did. And a year into it, I'm happy that I made the change, because it's allowing me to grow up, and it's allowing my listeners to mature too. You know, it's like, we're not the same people we were a decade ago. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's like the most important thing was staying true to myself. And I wanted to have some variation of Dave, Davey, David in the name, because that is my government name. But also, I wanted to remain true to the White Dave fandom. Like, niggas really fuck with me. Like, I still have friends and like fans and homies who still refer to me as White Dave, and it's fine. It doesn't bother me. But I'm happy that I've grown up in the capacity that I was able to do the rebrand. I had we got the Future feature. And I knew that, I don't know if I want White Dave next to Future. I knew that might be kind of like, you know what I mean? And so I was glad that we were able to get the rebrand done before that. And it just felt good, and it feels good moving forward. Like I plan on rapping, I just turned 33, and I plan on at least rapping for another 7 years, at least. And I'll feel good being a 38, 39, 40-year-old rapper named Ogdayv, OG Davey, as opposed to White Dave, you know what I mean? And that's what I mean by being able to look in the future. Like, when I first did it, I was like, oh man, because I had a bunch of people hit me like, bro, I can't believe you're changing the name, bro, because this is what we know you as. But I'm able to evolve, and I'm able to grow into the new name. And I've been enjoying it.
It was so seamless.
Yeah, I didn't want to change it to anything that was completely in left field, because how would I retain those who've been with me for the ride, you know what I mean? Oftentimes when people do a rebrand, the rebrand name is usually a little bit close to what it was before. You know, like I like to use Nas as an example. He never really changed his name officially, but he always used to go by Nas, Nasty, Escobar, Nostradamus, but it was always a variation of something closely connected to Nas. And so I felt like the pivot that we did was at least closely connected to the original source material.
I can appreciate that. Yeah, so for my last question, you did just mention the Future feature. And you've had some music in really big films, right? So you did the Space Jam soundtrack.
That's right. Yeah, that was my last big placement as White Dave. Yeah.
And you did there's a Hulu show soundtrack that you had.
That's right. Homeroom. Yeah.
And then the last one was the Wakanda Forever placement.
That's
so tell me about that and how you feel about it. I mean, congratulations. That's like a huge.
Thank you.
Those are huge collaborations, contributions. And it's crazy to think, right? You're like, I'm not this big, greater than life artist. He's just here hanging out with us in the studio in Richmond.
Yeah. Every so often I'll be out and about and I'll bump into somebody who knows who I am, and that's always cool. Don't get me wrong, that's always cool. But I really appreciate being able to just navigate around the world without without any like instant recognition. You know, you mentioned those films, like anybody who knows me or does their research, like my older brother's a filmmaker, and so he had something to do with all of those films that you mentioned. But something that I love to point out is that Dave Jordan, the guy that I've been working for X amount of years, was the music supervisor for all of those films. And so it's really, really, really about connections. And it's like, my brother can't just snap his fingers and make something happen. Like, there are people that we all have to answer to. And I always tell people all the time, like, that's why relationships are so important. Like, Dave Jordan has all my music, and he's able to look at these films and he's able to go, oh shit, this will fit in seamlessly. Boom, boom, boom. And for that, I'm eternally grateful, because that's what keeps me, not driven, but that's what kind of keeps me in the spotlight, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, the most recent song that I did was for Creed 3. And that came out back in, I want to say, maybe March or something like that, February, March, something like that. And again, Dave Jordan, looking out.
Shout out Dave Jordan.
Yeah, being like a top-notch dude, and just, you know, offering the opportunity. Like I always tell people, you know, breaking through or getting on or whatever you want to call it is a mixture of things. It's luck, sure, but it's also being prepared for the opportunity.
Exactly, I love that.
A story that I love to tell in regards to the Creed 3 album. I went to one of they had a week-long writing camp for that album, and I flew down there for 16 hours and was in there making music, and I made 12 songs. Dang. While I was down there. And then I flew back home. 22nd Jim was with me too, actually. Shout out Jim, that's my boy. And flew back home. And they didn't use any of those records on the album. 10 days before the album comes out, they send an email to my manager asking for vocals on the Ari Lennox song. And me being the professional that I am and not wanting to burn any bridges, I completed their request. And the song made the album at the last minute, and now we're here. And so I say that to say, like, that's the situation of being prepared and luck. They didn't take any of the stuff that I did before, but they reached out in regards to something else, and I was able to perform and provide, and it worked out. And so that's how I look at it.
Staying open and willing.
Stay open and willing.
Pray, and then be able to harness the blessings when they come in, right?
That's it. And don't burn bridges.
Don't burn
I tell
bridges.
people that all the time. Don't burn bridges. There've been a bunch of people who, in my career, I've reached out to and got crickets back. Got no silence, left me on red, all the things. And then once we got a little traction, once we got something going on, all of a sudden, hey, yo, you still trying to make that happen? Hey, yo, you still trying to get in the lab? And that's why I say, don't burn bridges and always be open, and don't be driven by ego. I'm not ruled by ego, and that's something that I try to keep in check at all times. Like, be open to learn, know that you don't know everything, and understand that there's always more to be gained. There's always more to be sought after, you know. And you know, I try to make sure that I'm never complacent. Try to make sure that I'm always respectful, and carry myself like a professional in all avenues. That's it.
I think that's a great closing statement.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Noah. It was a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming by.
Anytime.
It means a lot. It means a lot to have you on.
It's all good. I'm thankful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Muévete en el espejo, enamórate del